Hi guys, James at Rampant Lion Reviews again for you today with another beer review. For this one, we are going to stick to Hong Kong and we're going to return to a brewery that's featured on the channel many times before. Now, I've had some really nice beers from these guys over the years, a good number of different styles, and if people were to ask me about this brewery, I would say that they are just very solid all round. They've got a very interesting barrel program, they're really solid with their IPAs and lagers and stuff like this, and they do some very interesting fruity beers as well, actually. But the one we're going to have a look at today is a style that I've had from these guys once or twice before. I don't think I've reviewed any on the channel within this style category right enough, but it has a little bit of a twist to it that I don't think I've had all that often with this style ever in the history of the channel. So I think it should be quite interesting. So needless to say, I'm very curious to see what this one's going to have in store for us. Hopefully it's another good beer, hopefully it makes for an interesting review, and as always, I hope that you guys watching enjoy my take on this one as well. So yeah, for this review then, we are going to stick to Hong Kong like I said. We're going to go a little bit to the northwest of me here in Kowloon, up to Kwai, Chung, and that means that we're going to have a look at another beer from the wonderful Yardley Brothers Brewery. So this particular beer is called Stay Classy. It comes in at 7.4% ABV, and this one is a Saison aged for 3 years in red Burgundy wine barrels. So yeah, I honestly can't remember when I got this one. This one has been sitting in my fridge for a good little bit, but yeah, I just saw it there and fancied it tonight, so why not? Let's crack on with this one and see what it has in store for us. It's 7.4% Burgundy barrel-aged Saison from the wonderful Yardley Brothers in Kwai Chung here in Hong Kong. So, as always with my reviews then, I'll tell you a little bit about the brewery before we taste the beer. If you want to get straight to the tasting though, just fast forward. All the usual links can be found in the video description below. That's the brewery website, the link to my other reviews that I've done from Yardley Brothers Brewery before, and we will no doubt add more to that list at some point in the near future. But there's all the usual social media down there. If you want to see more reviews, do please consider subscribing to the channel. The support that you give is massively appreciated, and remember you can go into the channel homepage and search for beer using the geography tagging system. So just go in there, use the little search bar, put in your hometown, state, county, province, whatever you like. If I've reviewed beers from the area that you search for, they will pop up. Failing that, you can check out the playlist of beers from different countries. You'll find this one in the Hong Kong playlist, along with a number of other things that's being added to very regular at the moment, since I am based here in Hong Kong, of course, and there's some great beers here to look at. But yeah, make sure you check out the playlist of beers from other countries as well, because there are some really great, interesting things on the channel these days that are worth checking out. But yeah, let's go on to my brewery notes then, and I'll tell you a wee bit about Yardley Brothers Brewery once again. So, Yardley Brothers Brewery was founded by Luke and Duncan Yardley, and the brothers are half Scottish, half English, and Luke, who is now the main man behind the company, previously worked as a parts wholesaler and ended up staying in Hong Kong after he met a girl, and then that relationship broke down and he married another one later, and that is Ting Ting, who is lovely, so say hello to her if you meet her. But he and Duncan had homebrewed at home, and then they took it up again when Duncan joined Luke in Hong Kong back in 2014, and the main reason they started home brewing was that they simply couldn't get the kinds of beer that they wanted to drink. So their first brewery was in a small shack on Lamma Island, and you know, people used to drop by this and just try the beer for free back in the day. But later on in December of 2016, having received good feedback on their beers, they opened up a production brewery on the 5th floor of an industrial building where rent was cheaper, and they had to go this high up simply because of how expensive real estate is in Hong Kong. But apparently when they moved in, the tanks wouldn't fit in the elevator, so people had to they had to take turns. I think it was 8 people had to push these things up the stairs. But they stayed in this brewery for a number of years, and this was in the Kwai Chung area at the Watat Industrial Estate just to the northwest of Kowloon. They've got the Beer Shack these days, not the original one of course. They've got a bar called the Beer Shack out on Lamma Island. They've got a tap room in Central as well. I would recommend that you visit both of them. Really nice bars, good food menu and things like that, and always a good selection of Yardley beers, and sometimes guest things as well. But in the last few years, they've developed their barrel program a hell of a lot. This started back in 2018, and last year in 2023 they moved into a new and larger brewery, but they're still based in Kwai, Chung, to the northwest of Kowloon. As of April 2024, when I'm filming this review for you, these guys have produced 160 different types of beer according to Untappd, and these are all different styles, like I said. And one of their most interesting beers that they've ever produced is a freeze distilled IPA called the Beast, and this was the strongest beer produced in Asia at the time. So we'll need to see if we can convince Luke to bring that one back, actually. But yeah, that is everything I can really tell you about. That's everything I can really tell you about Yardley Brothers Brewery for the moment. If you want to learn more about these guys, you can check out the brewery website. You can follow them on Facebook and Instagram to stay up to date with all the latest goings on, and you can check out the Rate Beer, Untappd, and Beer Advocate pages to learn a little bit more about all the different beers that these guys have done. So yeah, let's go on then and actually have a look at the beer itself. So this one is, I think, a 375 milliliter bottle. Yep, that's right. It says on the side here, a single barrel saison aged for 3 years in a red burgundy barrel. Tasting notes, we're not going to do that because that's obviously what the point of doing this video is. But yeah, you can see the artwork on this one is pretty nice. I do have some notes on the specific ingredients of this beer, which I'll share with you in just a second. Plain black top on the bottle there, and you can see this one is number 389 of only 500 bottles. So this is a little bit of a special beer I've got here. I didn't realise that when I bought it, and I honestly can't remember when I got this one, actually, come to think of it. So yeah, anyway, but like I said, this beer is aged for 3 years in a red burgundy wine barrel. The malt base is wheat, pilsner and carapils malt, and then the hops used in this one are Sats, Jatets as the Czechs call them, and Hallertau. So basically noble hops in this one. And remember, the main difference between the German noble hops and the Czech noble hops, at least in my opinion, is that the Czech ones are a little bit spicier, whereas the German ones are a little bit more kind of brighter in their floral aromaticity. But yeah, I think we've said everything we need to about this beer. You can feel the density in this one actually when you hold it up. But let's get it out into the glass and see what it's all about. I'm really curious about this. Nice little bit of smoke on the opening there. I'm not sure how well that's going to show up on the camera. But yeah, let's get this out and into the glass. That's a nice pour, actually. You can see as we pour the first bit, it's crystal clear, lovely kind of rich golden colour. Is there sediment in this one? A little bit. And we do want, when it comes to a saison, for me at least, you do want the sediment there. So we're going to pour it all at once and give it that little bit of natural haze. So yeah, just before the head disappears on this one, you can see that when we poured it, it came out with about a 1/2 to 2/3 finger of a frothy, I would say, perfect white head there. Maybe very slightly cream coloured, but you can see medium-sized bubbles on the surface of the liquid and going a little bit further up there. But overall, it does look very nice, this one. The colour of this beer is lovely, actually. I have to admit, I would have expected it to have a wee bit more of a kind of red tinge, considering that it was in a red wine barrel. But yeah, no, it's come out this lovely, very bright, golden amber colour, actually. I really like how that pieces together in this one. So yeah, it's a big thumbs up from me. Yeah, looks good. So yeah, for me, I'd say a very rich, deep, golden colour, this one. Maybe very slightly amber, but not overly much. 1 or 2 big bubbles sticking toward the side of the glass with this one. A few little ones going up toward the bottom of the head there. But it looks very nice. That head has incidentally faded away to be a very thin, foamy layer. Pretty much nothing in the middle, actually. You've just got that little thin foamy ring around the edge of the glass. You can see the beer has a little bit of a natural haze to it, which you would expect from a barrel-aged beer. I don't know when this one was actually bottled, come to think of it, so that's an interesting point. But remember, the colour of your beer depends on a few things. 1, the type of malts that you use. This goes a long way to determining your EBC rating. 2, length of your wort boil is going to play a role, because the longer you boil the wort, the more the sugars caramelise, and thus you get a darker colour of beer. But any barrel aging that you do or adjuncts you put into the beer will affect its colour as well. And when it comes to kind of blonde beers like saisons, you know, adjuncts and barrel aging can have quite an effect, quite a pronounced effect on the colour, I should say. So yeah, it looks pretty damn nice, I have to say, but pretty much as what you would expect from a saison. Remember, the saison is a style that originated in sort of northern France and Belgium, basically a farmhouse ale. actually. So yeah, this was the beer that the farmers used to brew and drink. So I don't think we need to say anything else about the appearance of this one. As I say, the thing that surprises me about it is it doesn't have a wee bit more of a red tinge to it. But I think we can have a look at the aroma of this one and see what it's all about. I'm very, very curious about this. Oh yeah, that smells very, very nice. Yeah, lovely, really, really nice beer, this one. Actually reminds me a little bit of like Alvin and things from Belgium, you know, those big woody old school sours. Really is very much like that, actually. But beautiful smelling beer, needless to say. Kind of has everything you'd expect from a wine barley saison, to be honest with you. You've got a lovely smoothness to this one though, and that's one of the things, you know. Luke does some really, really great sour beers, and he just pulls them off beautifully. You know, he's just experimented with them. He does his incremental changes, and he just perfects them and gets them into a really nice state. And I think this one is going to be very much like that. It's just got a lovely tannin level to it. You're getting a bit of the smoothness and sweetness. You're getting a bit of smoothness out of the barrel. You're getting a wee bit of the kind of breadiness and sweetness that you want from the saison. You're getting the kind of sharpness from the wine, and you're just getting a wee bit of that oily, fruity character to it. Yeah. The way everything kind of pieces together in the aroma in this one is really, really nice. So let's try and break that aroma down for you a wee bit and explain it more clearly. But I will say, I think when it comes to these kind of beers, the old school woody sours, I think they are, you know, you get a lot more complexity out of them in the flavour than you do in the aroma, that's for sure. But yeah, aroma wise, this is absolutely beautiful. The backbone of the beer is, of course, that lovely, smooth European oak. As I've said on the channel many a time before, you know, American oak is a different species of tree from European oak, and I find it a little bit drier. The European oak, I think, well, the European oak is a little bit drier, I should say, and has a bit more vanilla to it. The American oak is just that little bit smoother and almost kind of sweeter in a sense. But yeah, the aroma out of this one is awesome. You can smell that lovely smooth European oak in there. There's a little bit of vanilla, of course, mixing in with it. Then above that, you can smell the wine. And the wine, in a sense, it's a very rich. I mean, I'm not a wine connoisseur by any means. I can appreciate a good wine, but you know, in honesty, I know nothing about it, especially in comparison with the amount I've learned about beer over the years. But yeah, the way that this goes together, I think, is really, really nice. The winey character, the tannins and stuff in this are just lovely. So yeah, you've got that big, sharp, purpley, grapey wine coming out of it. Yeah, big, sharp, purpley, grapey wine in there. The sourness out of it's just great. Yeah, the way all that goes together is just absolutely lovely. Above that, you start to get the saison out of the beer. So the malty part of this beer is very, very smooth, I will add. But you can smell a little bit of that kind of rich kind of brown bready bread crust in there. There's a wee bit of a sweet like wholemeal brown bread. Good bit of dense, yeah, a good little bit of a kind of dense white bready character to this one as well. And that's probably from the wheat, actually. The wheat's the thing that's going to give you the big dense white bready character in this one. But you can smell a wee bit of the crispness of the Pilsner malt in there still, which is quite interesting when you consider this has been aged in the barrel for 3 years. I think probably the reason this one comes across as being so smooth and so rich is that that aging process. And I know, you know, Luke is one that loves a long aging process for sure. He's done that with a couple of beers, like sat them in there for 2 or 3 years, easy peasy. But yeah, the smoothness out of this is awesome. So yeah, for me, you do get a little bit of sweetness out of this one. There is a little bit of straight up caramel to this beer, but there's a lot of like McVitie's digestive biscuit as well. But I would say it's really enveloped by the whole oily, tanniny smoothness thing. You get quite a little bit leathery, almost like leathery brown sugary character coming out of this one, but that is more from the barrel than the actual malty side of the beer, to be honest with you. yeah, as I say, the aroma, this one is extremely rich, and I really like how this goes together. Now, one of the things to talk about in this beer will be the hoppy side of things. So when it comes to old school saisons like this, and we know this one has the hops in it, so when you use hops in a sour beer like this, what often happens, or with the more old school beers, is that they'll use slightly older hops that have lost a little bit of their alpha acid potency, because you don't want the bitterness to detract from the sourness of the beer. Although they might have brewed this as a traditional saison, I wonder if the glass that I'm filming this in, the Quit Your Job, is the kind of flagship saison, if you like, from Yardley Brothers. So I'm wondering if the saison that's in here is the Quit Your Job. And then obviously maybe they've amped it up a little bit or made it a bit different to suit the barrel, I don't know. But yeah, with the hops, I don't know if they would have used older hops in the base saison intentionally, or if they have just gone with one of the core beers where they use regular hops. But yeah, you want to use slightly older hops so that you don't detract from the actual sourness of the beer. And obviously when you barrel age the beer and stuff, the hoppy character is going to drop out. But needless to say, with this one you do still get a little bit of it. You can smell a little bit of the smooth earthiness that you're going to get from the German side of the noble hops. You do get a little touch of the spiciness from the Czech Sats as well, and you can smell the brighter kind of grassiness and things from the German Hallertau. That's quite evident in this beer, and it's just interesting for me that that has lasted 3 years in the barrel, plus however long it's been sat in this bottle. But yeah, I love it how you still get a little bit of that kind of hoppy side of the saison, so gets a big thumbs up from me. Yeah, it's lovely. On the on the fruity side of things, obviously you're getting a lot of kind of vinous-y character out of this one, for sure, from the red wine. But I think there's a little bit more. I think it has a little bit of an almost white winey character to it. If I was smelling this one blind, I would probably have guessed that it was, I actually probably would have guessed that it was like a white wine barrel, to be honest with you. But, you know, my nose isn't the best when it comes to these kind of old school sort of woody sour beers, if you can call them that. But yeah, for me, with this beer, there's quite a bit of interesting stuff going on with the fruity side of things. With underneath the wine, you've got a little bit of like oily pear. There's a little bit of an almost gooseberry note out of this one. There's like some fresh green apple and stuff. So yeah, pear, fresh green apple, gooseberry, maybe a very slight touch of like dry apricot and sultana and things. But yeah, more pear, apple, gooseberry, I would say. It's really interesting. The aroma on this beer is absolutely beautiful. As I say, always take a little bit of time to just enjoy the aroma of the beer before you get stuck into it. Yeah, I think this is going to be very good. Another bit of magic from Luke the Wizard. So yeah, this is the Stay Classy, a 7.4% 3-year aged Burgundy barrel aged saison from the wonderful Yardley Brothers Brewery in Kwai, Chung in the New Territories here in Hong Kong. Let's get stuck in. Slàinte, skål, cheers. Oh yeah. He's done it again. He has. Yeah, that's a ridiculously good beer. Yeah. As I say, Luke just has a way. He just has a way with these big barrel aged beers and these big, you know, really long aged ones. And, you know, my impression of it, you know, coming from Europe to Hong Kong would have been that these would be quite hard to do in Asia just because of temperature control and things like that. But, you know, obviously not. We do have modern technology, obviously, is a big thing there, and it's a lot easier to control the temperature than it was back in the day. But, yeah, this is a beautiful beer. This is one of the smoothest barrel-aged saisons that I think I've ever come across, actually. This is just really nicely done. So yeah, I take my hat off to Luke Yardley once again. He's capable of producing magic. A lot of people call Luke a wizard just because of how these beers turn out, and I think that's fair. I think that is absolutely fair to call him that. A genius masquerading as a wizard, or a wizard masquerading as a genius, I don't know. Lovely guy anyway, but meant to be a compliment, even if it didn't sound correct or whatever. But yeah, this is a beautiful, beautiful beer. This could well be my favourite one that I've had from them, actually, when I think about it. Because we had the cognac, and the cognac was beautiful, but this one, I don't know, I just find this one a little bit more kind of striking in a way, now that I think about it. Yeah, that's just lovely. It's ridiculously good, it really is. You've just got such a balance in this one. It's lovely and smooth and slick. You've got the woodiness, you've got the tannins, the sourness is really balanced in there, and then you've just got a lovely fruitiness to it. It's just an all-round beautiful, beautiful beer. And like I say, I would go as far as saying that's potentially the best one that I've had from Yardley Brothers, actually. So yeah, quite happy with that. Where to start with this? Let's go to the middle third of the palate then and just break this beer down, and we'll do as we always do. I'll try my best to describe this, but I feel I'm maybe not going to be able to do it justice. It really is that good. So the middle third of your palate then, you can feel that lovely, smooth, European oaky character there, and that is the backbone of the beer. You get more and more of that into the aftertaste, just that lovely smooth oak. Further forward on that middle third of your palate, you get the lovely, slightly oily vanilla out of this one. And it's, as I say, it's just great. Beautiful, beautiful stuff. Of course, on top of that, this one has that kind of vinous character to it as well. And yeah, just the way it pieces together is really is awesome. The sweetness that you get out of this is yeah, the sweetness that you get from the wine into the aftertaste is great. I mean, the wine gives you a little bit of that kind of leathery, tanniny sort of thing, but just the sweetness you get out of the grapes, it almost feels like it's a blend of like a white and a red wine to me. And that layer just sits above the kind of oaky barrels that you have, and then you have the kind of malty side of the beer. So yeah. But yeah, the malty side of this beer is really, really nice. I mean, the backbone, you can feel there's a little bit of like a kind of fresh wholemeal brown bready bread crust in this one, so you feel that there. On top of that, you've got like a kind of fluffier, more airy white bread, and then you can feel the denser wheat just sitting on top of that, actually. And then I think the actual fluffier bready character is coming from the Pilsner malt, but yeah, the denser wheaty bready character just sits on top of that. And if you go to the back, if you go above that kind of more dense and smooth wheaty layer, the wheat is really giving you a very smooth character to this one. Above that, you get like a little touch of an almost crackery layer, and then at the back of that middle third of your palate, pardon me, you can certainly feel a nice little bit of just, yeah, crisp Pilsner malty dryness coming out of the beer. So yeah, I like that about this one. And as you move further forward on top of that wheat there, you can feel there's a little circle in the middle of your palate there. You can feel like the base of it is a little bit more like kind of McVitie's digestive biscuit, you know, maybe a very slightly toasty caramel, but the dead centre of your palate in this one is like a very oily, sweet caramel almost. And I think the 7.5%, 7.4% in this one is, I think that's what gives you it's a nice level of sweetness. I mean, if you take the Saison up to sort of 10, 11%, they can be a bit, they can just feel a little bit heavy. I think 7.5%, 8% for these Saisons is a good amount, because you just get that little bit of sweetness and you still get the nice smooth bready character out of this one. And I think it's the whole balance of this beer that just makes everything so good. It just makes the balance of this beer is great. And for me, you know, a good sour beer is one that comes in, it gives you that little bit of sharp impact, and it just mellows out really nicely. And this beer does that beautifully. It really, really does. Quite oily as well, I would say, but we'll come back to the mouthfeel a little bit later on. So yeah, I think we've covered everything we need to say about the middle third of the palate with this beer. Let's go to the back third of your palate then. So the border region between middle and back third of your palate, you get a nice little bit of the kind of brown bread in the base, a little bit of the kind of thicker, more dense white bread on top, and just a wee touch of like crispness from the Pilsner malt as well. But yeah, the base of that back third of the palate, as I've often said, sweeter flavours come out further forward on the palate, more dry and bitter flavours come out further back. But usually the back third of your palate will show you similar flavours to the middle third of your palate, just at different intensities. But yeah, you can feel the woody character on that back third of your palate is that little touch drier. You do get the kind of winey spirit in there as well, which I think is, you know, I say spirit, but yeah, you get that kind of winey, oily layer in there, which I think it shows you just a little bit more dryness and things. It's almost more like a kind of grape skin type sourness that you're getting off it. But then yeah, you've got the kind of wholemeal brown bready layer above that, which is really light and really airy. And then yeah, you've got the white bready character above that, which again is a little bit lighter and more airy. And you can just feel a little bit of the more dense wheat kind of creeping over the top of that. And the wheat, again, the wheat on the back third of the palate is very smooth in this one, but then you've got all the yeasty character just sitting above that. Yeah. The yeasty character that sits above everything else in that back third of the palate is really nice too. It's got a little bit more of a kind of rusticy bread to it. So as I say, the yeasty character sits on top of the back third of the palate, so you can feel that really, really dense, heavy, sweet brown bread in the middle. Then you've got a more airy, like almost crusty, woody, rusticy brown bread around the outside. And then yeah, and then you've got this kind of bread crusty sort of thing around the edge of it with a kind of wholemeal brown bready bread crust. So yeah, really dense sweet brown bread in the middle, more rusticy, crusty brown bread, and then yeah, just bread crust around the edge. And that sits, as I say, on top of all of the on top of everything on that back third of the palate. So yeah, I like that about this one. Yeah, back third of the palate, definitely you can feel the flavour is taller. Then as you move further forward into the middle third of your tongue, it just kind of condenses down and squashes together. The one other thing I would say about this beer is that the more you drink of it, on top of that, the woody and the kind of grapey, oily layer, you can feel that really nice, yeah, you can certainly feel that really nice, kind of almost leathery, brown sugary character coming out of this one. I like that about this beer. That's the tannin, of course, that's giving you all of that. But let's focus on the hoppy side of the beer then, and the kind of fruity side of things. So like I said, a lot of the hoppy character will have dropped out of this one because of how old the beer is. It's 3 years in the barrel plus however long in the bottle. But yeah, the backbone, the hoppy side of this beer, you do get a little bit of earthiness in the back corners of the palate there, which is beautiful. Then as you move further forward, it's just that little touch herbal, and as you push toward the kind of front corners of the tongue, it's a wee bit more sort of floral and aromatic, and then you've got a wee bit of grassiness just around the front curve of the tongue. And all of those things in this one are, you know, quite smooth actually. As I say, they're just very, very smooth, and they just add a little bit more depth to the beer. But let's look at the front third of your palate then, and the sort of sour impact flavours and the fruitiness. Yeah, so good. Yeah, the border region between front and middle third of your palate, then you've got the brown bread in the base, the white bread on top, and a wee bit of the kind of more dense wheat. Then yeah, base of the front third of your palate, the wood, the wine, then a little bit of that almost tanniny, leathery type character, the brown bread, the wheaty white bread, and then yeah, you get that nice oily bubble where the fruity esters just roll the way out of the beer. So as for the fruits that are coming from the hops, I would say at the back of that front third of your palate, it's mainly like an oily sort of pear. And as you reach the middle of that front third of your palate, you're getting a little bit more of a kind of almost like fresh green appley note to it. And then yeah, it's got a little bit of like an almost very slightly gooseberry note into the aftertaste. And yeah, then you get the kind of sourness of the wine, the vinous character coming in. So whenever you take in a sour beer like this, you're always going to get that little bit of a sharp impact just behind the very kind of front tip of your tongue. So that's definitely in here. Yeah, so you've got that really sharp, yeah, that really nice sharp, just vinous impact behind there, but the way that that mellows out, and you just got all the lovely tannins, the kind of leathery, woody, brown, sugary, vanilla notes coming out of this, and then the wine again just lingering there, the kind of grape skins and stuff. It's just beautiful. The way that this beer just mellows out and balances out, it's just perfect. It really is. Wonderful, wonderful beer, this one. Certainly wouldn't hesitate to drink it again. I think it's a shame there was only 500 barrels of this one, but I'm sure Luke will have something else up his sleeve. But yeah, that's a lovely, lovely beer, this one. And potentially that's, you know, I'd go as far as saying this could well be one of my favourite, like old school woody type sour beers I've reviewed. And probably, you know, more I think about it, could be my favourite Yardley Brothers beer that I've reviewed on the channel as well. So gets a massive thumbs up from me. Yeah, really, really like this. Yeah, let's round off the review then with a wee look at the mouthfeel. And the mouthfeel is beautiful, incidentally. So the thing I'd say about this beer is that for like kind of barrel-aged saison, I'd say it's full-bodied, probably like mid-range to full-bodied. Generally speaking, I'd say, yeah, like kind of bottom end of full-bodied, but it's, when I think about the style of the saison, the smoothness, oiliness and things that you get out of this one is just unreal. I've never had a beer that's had a mouthfeel quite like this. This is superbly done. The carbonation just has a little tiny prickle to it, but it just feels so, so smooth. In terms of the sour impact, it's not, this beer, I don't find it madly sour. It's just, again, so well balanced. You get the wee bit of the sour, the impact behind the front tip of the tongue, and everything just mellows out and it becomes really like slightly oily and slightly sweet. It's beautiful. But then yeah, your malt base, you've got the wood dryness underneath, a little bit of vinous character, smooth malty character, a wee bit of oily kind of dry sweetness on top of that, a little bit of yeasty dryness into the aftertaste as well. And there's a wee touch of hoppy character in there too, just maybe, you know, maybe 10 IBUs at the most. But yeah, the way everything sort of, the way everything just kind of balances together in this one is absolutely lovely. Yeah, one of the best beers I've reviewed potentially ever on the channel, actually. This is awesome. This really is quite a striking beer, this one. So big, big thumbs up to Luke. I'll need to message him and tell him, yeah, I might have found my my new favourite Yardley Brothers beer. So yeah, let's leave it at that for this one. This was the Stay Classy, a 7.4% Burgundy wine barrel-aged saison. Aged for 3 years as well. That's probably the reason this one's turned out so well. Not many breweries would do that, actually. But yeah, awesome, awesome stuff. And this is definitely worth checking out if you happen to come across a bottle of this one. So yeah, let's leave it at that. Once again, thank you for watching my beer reviews. Until the next time, please like, subscribe, share, all the usual YouTube stuff. Let me know your own thoughts on this beer in the comments section below. Let me know what your favourite beers are from Yardley Brothers Brewery as well, and we will no doubt return to these guys again at some point in the very near future. Beautiful, beautiful beer, this one. Potentially one of my favourite ones I've reviewed on the channel ever, and probably my favourite Yardley Brothers beer now. So yeah, I'm going to go away and enjoy the rest of this. Slange it, skål, cheers, catch you guys in the next one. Check out my social media and check out theirs as well. Ciao just now.